Political Moneyball. Let's get dialed in. Hello and welcome to Texas Talkin, the no woke Texas first zone, where truth and facts don't take a back seat to virtue signaling platitudes. I'm your host, Shiloh Platts, channeling the spirit of common sense with a little bit of Lone Star swagger. Ladies and gentlemen, gather around because tonight we're diving headfirst into a topic that has both the political left and right up in arms, and that is the cash tsunami that is flooding our elections. We're talking about Texas House Concurrent Resolution 79, HCR 79, a legislative gem that will have incumbent politicians squirming and regular folks celebrating. Now, you might be wondering, what in the Sam Hill is HCR 79? Well, let me paint you a picture. Imagine a world where money doesn't just talk, it shouts, hollers, and drowns out the voices of everyday Texans like you and me. Well, HCR 79 is our way of saying, hold your horses. It's a resolution urging Congress to propose a constitutional amendment clarifying that both the states and Congress have the authority to reasonably regulate and limit the spending of money to influence campaigns, elections, or ballot measures. Think about it. Our elections should be a reflection of the people's will, not the highest bidder's bank account. But in today's political rodeo, big corporations and special interest groups are riding roughshod over our democratic process. HCR 79 aims to put a stop to this stampede, ensuring that the reins of power stay firmly where it belongs, in the hands of we the people. Now, some folks might say, but isn't spending money a form of free speech? Well, bless their hearts. There's a big difference between free speech and buying a megaphone so loud that it silences everyone else. Our founding fathers envisioned a republic where ideas compete on a level playing field, not one where the rich and powerful can bulldoze the competition with their cash. By supporting HCR 79, Texas is leading the charge to restore sanity to our electoral process. It's about making sure that every Texan's voice is heard, whether you're a rancher in Amarillo or a teacher in Beaumont. It's about reaffirming that in this great state and this great nation, democracy is not for sale. So let's tip our hats to the Texas legislators backing HCR 79. They're standing up for the little guy, championing a cause that's as righteous as the summer day is long. And let's remind those fat cats trying to buy our elections that there's something more powerful than their pocketbooks: the unyielding spirit of Texans. In the words of the late, great Rush Limbaugh, the American people are the greatest people the world has ever seen. And when those people stand together, when we stand together, there's nothing we can't accomplish. HCR 79 is more than just a resolution. It's a declaration that Texas won't be messed with, that our democracy is not for sale, and that the voices of everyday Texans will not be silenced. Here tonight to dial us in on the details is Matt Howerton, political manager of American Promise, an organization leading the charge to boot excessive cash from political campaigns. Stay with us, folks, because Matt is warming up in the bullpen. And making his return to Texas Talkin is former Ted Cruz intern and campaign staffer to both Governor Greg Abbott and Speaker Mike Johnson, Matt Howerton with American Promise. Matt, thanks for coming back on.
Hey, Shiloh, thanks so much for having me back. A lot of exciting news to share.
Well, I can't wait to dive into that. And to kick things off, why don't you break down HCR 79 for us? What is it, Matt?
Yeah, excited to share that with you. First, I wanted to just real quick touch on what we've accomplished since we last spoke about 6 to 9 months ago. When we last spoke, we were really just getting started, and I'm happy to share that since then, we've actually had 118 candidates across the state of Texas sign our candidate pledge. And of course, we had a really big election.
And what does that can I'm sorry to interject, but I must ask, what does that candidate pledge entail?
Great question. So it's basically just a way of us building a bench of liberty lovers that are going to stand up on this issue of the overwhelming influence of money in politics. So whether they won, whether they lost, either way, they're on the record saying, I stand with American Promise to give Texans back their voice. And so we're really excited to have over 118 candidates among our ranks, and that includes dozens of Republican precinct chairs from all over the state.
Excellent.
Um,
So back to the good news.
Yeah, so the good news is we had an election, and it really just underscored the importance of getting HCR 79 across the finish line. And that was in 2016, we had $6.5 billion in federal election spending, federal and state election spending.
$6.5 billion, folks.
It's a lot of Benjamins, but I got to tell you, do you want to take a quick guess at what 2024 was total spending?
Uh, I mean, I could just spitball here and throw a number out. I don't know, 13 billion.
Good guess. Over $20 billion
Wow.
2024 election. So that's more than a threefold increase. And that means the voices of ordinary Americans and ordinary Texans are being drowned out by special interests, not only out of the state, but even outside of the country. It's really crazy.
And
So
scary, I might add.
it is. So HCR 79, introduced by State Representative Terry Leo Wilson, one of our conservative state representatives, would call upon Congress to introduce an amendment to the states that would return power over campaign finance to the states as our founders intended. That's the way they actually set it up. For over 200 years, states had authority over state campaign finance, and Congress had authority over federal. And that was really thrown on its head by the Supreme Court through a series of flawed decisions. The first one, which was just 3 years removed from Roe v. Wade.
And that one was Buckley versus Vallejo.
Great, very good. Yes, that's
I
exactly
study a little bit, Matt. And what was the more recent one? That would be Citizens United.
Yes, sir. That would be the more recent ones. For a while, conservatives were under the impression that it was going to be good for us, but it was short-lived, as 2020 was the beginning of when it really started to shift the other direction. Even in
Soros and company.
Yes, sir. And even in the 2024 election, among that $20 billion was over $1 billion of what I call untraceable money. Some people call it dark money. And that's just unacceptable, I think, by all of our standards.
So, Matt, let me ask you, what is the likelihood of getting this passed, and what kind of support does it have right now?
Well, nothing moves unless it's pushed, and we are pushing, and we're asking everybody out there to join us, because if we don't have election integrity, financial election integrity, I really worry about the survival of our republic. So the great news is the support is overwhelming. Since we last spoke, I can tell you that a poll out of Harris County showed that over 90% of Texans agree that the overwhelming influence of money in politics is a threat to our form of government.
Sure.
So the majority is overwhelming, and that's what you need to get a constitutional amendment done. And more recently, there was actually polling that showed that the number one concern of all Americans, chief among them, is the overwhelming influence of money in politics. That was a brand new study from Pew. Over 73% of Americans said this is the biggest issue that we have to tackle as a nation.
Wow, those numbers are staggering. And it sounds to me, Matt, like this may be one of those very rare instances in modern politics where we have bipartisan support. I'm not always a fan of bipartisan support, because most of the time when I see something that's bipartisan, that just means it's two different wings from the same bird of prey. But on this issue, I think the bipartisan support is merited and it's good.
Yeah, and it's really being driven by the grassroots, because we've seen the same thing no matter which side of the aisle you're on, the establishment, or even if you consider yourself more of a moderate Republican, the money on both sides seems to feed into this negativity and divisiveness. And this is just one of those issues that we have a shared value, and that shared value is that we, the people, should be in charge of our elections, not special interests, not the judiciary. The founders gave this authority to states and Congress, and that's where it needs to go back to. So we're really excited. We've been talking to state representatives, members of Congress, and having really great feedback. It doesn't matter if you're the most conservative or the most moderate. Everybody agrees that our campaign finance system is broken and Congress needs to fix it. And that's why we're really happy to be seeing so much support. So right now we actually have a petition drive that we've launched in support of HCR 79. And pretty shortly after we get off this call, I'm going to post a link to where your audience can sign that petition on our Facebook page. All they have to do is go to American Promise, Texas, and they can see how they can join us by sending a quick email to their state representative and their state senator.
Matt, it would seem to me that we really do need legislation to address this issue, because otherwise you may have somebody who is taking what they would call a principled stand, and not take campaign donations from mega corporations or the super rich. But I would argue that that person would be a fool unless everybody else is forced to adhere to that same standard.
Yeah, so I mean, I think a big effect of this will be to kind of level the playing field. Just having transparency, full transparency to where we don't have that untraceable money is going to make sure that we know no foreign money is making its way into our election. So that's the really big issue here. The only way we can make sure that foreign money is not influencing Texas elections is to pass the 4-Hour Freedom Amendment. And so that's one of the biggest reasons we're seeing a surge in support. I was just with our friends at the Young Conservatives of Texas convention last week, and I ask everybody the same thing. Do you agree that there's too much money in politics today? And the answers range from yes to hell yes. So we're all united on this, and we're really excited to see movement in the House and hopefully soon in the Senate. And excited to work with principled Texans like yourself all over the state.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So it's in the House right now as a House concurrent resolution. What happens next? Where does this go? And ultimately, what will need to happen in order for change to be effected?
Absolutely. We need co-sponsors, and that's why I'm coming to you and your friends out there. We need you to sign that petition on our Facebook page, American Promise/Texas. And once you sign that pledge, it'll send an email straight to your state representative, straight to your state senator. And it's really cool. Sometimes technology gives us headaches, but sometimes it's really nice, like when you can just easily contact your state rep and your state senator like that. So join us, sign the petition, help us get more co-sponsors. And as we add one co-sponsor after another, we'll be one step closer to getting this done for the people of Texas and all Americans.
Now, being the astute political mind that I know you are, I know you've already thought about what the opposition might be saying about this resolution. What are the arguments against HCR 79, if any?
There's really no good argument. Sure that some people who explore the possibilities might come up with a reason to try to, some straw man. But the beautiful thing about the 4-Hour Freedom Amendment is there's really something in it for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a member of Congress and you spend hours every week on the phone instead of spending time with your family. I know that's something they really want out of, to change about the current campaign finance system.
Well, they're always campaigning.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We have 2 years and the money has just really monopolized their time. So I think there's something in it for the elected officials, and I think there's something in it for the donors as well. I don't think that it would cost as much money to make a difference in politics if we leveled the playing field. And when we have full transparency, we're not going to have folks in China trying to get their money into Texas elections because they're going to know we're going to see it. So really getting this transparency accomplished is going to get rid of the need, I think, for any limits anyway. But yeah, we're seeing incredible support all over the state, and we're really excited to have our first lobby day on April 3rd. I know it's a little bit of a trek for our friends across the state, but we'd love for you to join us if you can. And if you can't, you can help by signing our petition.
Well, we are a program of action, as you well know, Matt. So my viewers can sign the petition. They can participate in Lobby Day on April 3rd. Is there anything else that you would encourage folks to do to help move the ball down the field on this issue?
Yeah, I would throw out there one thing we're really trying to make a priority is presentations at local groups, whether they're Republican, civic groups, business groups. So if your audience would be able to help us set up a presentation, we would love to join them and be able to answer any questions that they may have.
Outstanding. Well, Matt, I appreciate you coming on to give us an update about this as the HCR 79 makes its way through the process. We'd love to have you back on to discuss where it ends up and what happens next. Thank you, sir. I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you for helping us protect the integrity of Texas elections.
Amen. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless the great state of Texas. Let's keep
Amen.
Texas talking. Thanks, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Stay dialed in to interviews and content just like this by clicking that follow button on my Facebook page, or hit the subscribe button to learn more about exclusive access that you won't want to miss.